Attorneys' email inboxes are bombarded with offers from new AI vendors coming to the market all the time. Not only that, but these specialized AI tools a lot of times have long-term contracts, quite steep pricing, and only offer to solve a specific issue in your firm. It is my firm belief that any law firm owner or manager that wants to be successful in the AI era first needs to make sure that they and their team know how to use the base models that all of these specialized AI tools are actually built on, i.e. Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, or Microsoft Copilot. After helping hundreds of law firms implement AI in their practice, today I will go over the main options that you have on the market for choosing one of these base models, which one would be the best for you, and not only that, but also cover a few important myths and worries that attorneys usually face when starting to adopt AI in their practices. Let's get going. Hey there, my name is Martin, and I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Swans, where my team and I helps law firms integrate automation and AI into their practices. And so let's kick things off with the two biggest concerns that lawyers face when adopting AI: data security and hallucinations. There's quite a lot of misinformation going around the internet about this these days, so let's first tackle these step by step. When we're talking about data security, we are asking ourselves, can we trust these AI models with sensitive client data, right? Can we upload of our client files in there, or shall we actually redact some of the important information first, right? Sensitive information first before uploading it to the systems. And the data security question can really be broken down to three main elements: cybersecurity, use of data for model training, and the trust in the actual developer or the provider of the AI model. And starting with cybersecurity, just as you're currently using your CRM, your case management, your online document management software, you need to make sure that you're following cybersecurity best practices, i.e. making sure you have a strong password on your account and making sure that you enable two-factor authentication via an authenticator app, such as Google Authenticator or actually SMS. Apart from that, some of these actually AI providers, such as the one from Google, enable more advanced security features, such as, for example, blocking access from certain IP addresses and other features that you may expect from more, let's say, enterprise solutions. So that's not necessarily a concern you need to have as long as you follow best practices. Then, model training. That has been the talk since really AI has been released. If I upload my information, will be used for model training and will actually pop up, a year down the line for another user. And you can rest assured that if you're using the paid versions of these products, then none of them use your data for model training, right? Unless you actually specifically allow them to do so in the settings. And so what that means is that you can perfectly fine upload any sensitive client information to the systems. It will not be used to train the model, and will also, for some of these providers, they even ensure that none other human, right, will actually review that information. So that's again another concern, that as long as you're using the paid versions of the product and you have your settings correctly configured, you shall not worry about this. And lastly, it is the trust in the developer or the provider of the solution, right? Obviously, some of these companies that are developing some of these AI models, like OpenAI or, for example, Anthropic, are newer into the market, right? They are supported by some of the big players, but are newer companies, so you may be generally worried about uploading sensitive information to companies where you haven't essentially established that trust. But for some other providers, like Microsoft with their Microsoft Copilot or Google with their Gemini product, it is really the same thing as using your OneDrive, your Google Drive, your Gmail, or Outlook, right? Do you trust sensitive client information to Outlook? Or do you trust sensitive client information to Google Drive? If the answer is yes to those questions, then you shall not really be worried about uploading any sensitive information to, let's say, Gemini or Microsoft Copilot, because exactly really it's the same scenario for both cases. Additionally, some of this, again, like larger providers like Google Gemini, actually provide HIPAA enabled workflows, which means that as well they can sign a BEA with them and make sure that as well you can upload any personal health information of your clients as well into the platform without worrying about not being compliant with HIPAA. The second big bucket of the concern is hallucinations, i.e. model making stuff up, right? We have obviously all heard of of cases where lawyers go into court and reference a case that doesn't exist, right, and then get shot down for it. Definitely the hallucinations problem is not yet solved completely, but it is greatly improving. And there are a few methods that you can use to make sure that you get less hallucinations. And that is, first of all, making sure that you ground your results in data, be that the data that you supply to the model. So, for example, let's say PDFs of the latest statutes, or actually using the web search functionality of these products for each to have access to the internet and be able to search information online and ground their responses in the data. Some of these AI tools, and I'll show you in just a second how that may look like, allow you to see where that information came from. So, for example, in the case of Gemini, whenever it's generating a response, and here, for example, I have provided a file to it, which is analyzing. If we look into this additional information over here, we can see the pages where it sourced information from, and actually it also showing you the snippets of text which it bases that response on, right? For example, there are multiple sources. Well, in here, it shows multiple pages. Just like that, we can understand where the model is gathering the information, how it is basing its answer, and double check to make sure, especially the most important items, to make sure it's not making anything up. And let's actually now jump into the comparison of these AI models. And I want to be respectful of your time. So if you just want our top pick at this point in time, May 2025, importantly, this can change dramatically over the course of the next months, as we've seen the providers, compete against each other. But as of May 2025, and based on seeing what works with hundreds of law firms in our community, at this point in time, it's just a Gemini by Google is our best pick for the generic AI model that you should be employing in your practice. And there are a few reasons for this, and so let's jump into each one and make sure what are the pros of each one of these models. So Gemini is the suite really of products developed by Google. It can be accessed by going to gemini.google.com. And the great thing about it is that it is included as part of the Google Workspace subscription, right? So if you're already using Google Workspace for your Gmail, Google Drive, etc., then actually Gemini is already included in the Google Workspace subscription, meaning you don't actually need to have a separate cost for it. All of your firm users will be able to use it as long as they have a valid Google Workspace license. Another great thing about Gemini and Google Workspace is that it has very easy HIPAA compliance options, unlike, for example, ChatGPT and Claude, which only do it really for big enterprise clients. In Google, you can easily navigate to the legal section of your account and sign a BEA with Google, which will cover, first of all of the other Google products that you may be using, main ones such as Gmail, Google Drive, Google Calendar, etc., but then also Gemini, the Gemini app. Apart from that, Gemini has very rich integration with other Google products, meaning that you can source information from your Google Drive, you can source information from your Gmail. It's actually also integrated very nicely natively in some of these applications. So, for example, in Gmail, when you're writing up a new email, you can actually hit a button and ask Gemini to draft a new email copy for you. In addition to that, as you're working with the Gemini app, which looks something like this, you can also then quite easily take this response and share it, export it to a Google Doc and continue to edit in there, or actually export it to a Gmail draft and start drafting a new email to the other party. At this point in time as well, Gemini has the largest context window out of all of these at 1 million tokens. What does it mean? It means that it can take a large set of information in your prompt. This point in time in 1 million tokens is about 1,200 pages of PDF text, right? So there could be either a single file or actually multiple files. Some other providers, such as again ChatGPT and Claude, have either half or actually a third of that amount only. And so that means that you're somewhat limited, especially if you're working with larger files. Apart from that, Gemini also includes Notebook LM Plus, which is actually a separate product, which allows you to include up to 300 different sources, be that YouTube videos, files, websites, etc., and help you conduct research. Important thing here: Notebook LM is not HIPAA compliant, so that's something to have in mind. Apart from that, it also has some advanced AI features in its AI Studio, which is also kind of a somewhat separate product, such as, for example, live mode, video generation capabilities, and a more granular control of how you're interacting with the model, for example, making it less creative or more creative. If you want a full dive into all of the features that Gemini offers, I actually have another video about it in our YouTube channel, so feel free to check it out, a full walkthrough. From our experience, well, Gemini is somewhat more thorough compared to other models, just from the base. Again, it's somewhat more subjective, and also the let's say the tone of voice and the level of detail that the AI model provides can be tweaked. Not only that, but the pricing of Gemini is also very aggressive and very competitive compared to the other providers, right? Again, included as part of Google Workspace. But if, for example, you're using Outlook, then it's just $14 per user per month to get that Google Workspace license. Compared to some other providers which charge, let's say, $25 per user per month and only offer AI, that is really a killer offer. Let's now move on to the next provider, which is ChatGPT. It is developed by OpenAI, which is a company backed by Microsoft. Its pricing is $25 per user per month. And some of the pros that this platform has is that it does have a larger selection of models. So if you go into ChatGPT, able to select from quite a wide array of different models for different use cases. Can sometimes as well like make it somewhat difficult to choose like which one exactly you need. It says as well some of those more advanced features, such as a voice mode, where you can essentially talk with the model back and forth without sending, let's say, repeated messages, and also video generation with their Sora platform. It does have better sharing of those of custom GPTs, essentially AI experts that you can create right with your knowledge and your files, and easily shared either with the members of your workspace or actually publicly as well with the internet. So that's a feature that Gemini at this point in time lacks. It also does have custom instructions that you can define, which will essentially tell the model of how it should respond. So you go here into custom GPT. You can describe a bit more about yourself, about what you do, right, and guide the model into responding in a specific way. From what we have found, ChatGPT tend to be quite a bit more creative from the get-go, but again, that can be obviously tweaked with some right prompting. The next one on the list is Claude, developed by Anthropic, which is a company backed by Amazon in part. Again, also $25 per user per month. And what we have found is Claude is really best at analytical stuff, coding, data analysis, and also quite actually good for drafting. It tends to be more, let's say, professional, more concise in its answers. It also has this projects feature, which is essentially similar to custom GPTs. And in addition to that, it also has a feature called styles, where you can essentially as well like choose how the model is going to respond in addition to custom instructions as ChatGPT. But then you can also create and edit styles, right? So you can create a custom style. You can add writing examples in here, and then based on that, easily switch in between them as you're working, providing you more flexibility in terms of the output that you actually get at any point in time. A somewhat more advanced feature, but something to have in mind. I would say in order, to choose like which one you like more, I would say just like try out both for your use case and then see, what feels best. Again, Claude is somewhat more professional. ChatGPT is somewhat more creative and open-ended. And lastly, we have Microsoft Copilot, which is developed by Microsoft. The important thing here is that really the Copilot itself is not an AI model. It's actually using other AI models such as ChatGPT, and actually Microsoft is also developing a few AI models of them internally. But honestly, I don't have that many good things to say about Microsoft Copilot. One great thing about it is rich integration with the Microsoft ecosystem. So as well, just similar to Google, Microsoft is trying to create Copilot into all the different apps in Outlook, in Word, in Excel. And so you can use Copilot in those apps. But as actually like standalone application, it does somewhat lack in functionality, right? There are not that many customization features that you can do as well. Like the model selection is really not that big, and in general, I have found it to not provide as good of responses compared to some of these other models. In addition to that, the pricing is sold as an add-on essentially to the Microsoft 365 subscription that you may already have. And so it also doesn't necessarily make it as price competitive compared to, for example, Google, which then already included as part of the Google Workspace subscription, base subscription, right? You don't need to purchase an extra add-on. I hope that this quick overview has provided you a nice lay of the land of what are the options available on the market. As I mentioned before, this environment is shifting very quickly. What was true 3 months ago is really not wholly not true. I would say 3 months ago, the best models out there were really Claude, followed by ChatGPT. Gemini really stepped up its game over the last months. And at this point in time, I think they have a killer offer that really no other provider matches. And they're also developing all of those advanced features in addition to that product being actually cheaper compared to the other providers on the market. So if you have any comments about any of these, about your experience with any of these, please leave them down below. Apart from that, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you would like to join our legal tech community where we talk about things like this and mingle with like-minded attorneys and law firm owners, then please check the link down below. Or also, if you'd like to actually schedule a personalized call with our team to see how automation AI can be integrated into your practice specifically, then also do check the links down below. Thank you very much and have a fantastic day.